Hi.
May you please state your name and spell it?
Brittany Stafford, B-R-I-T-T-A-N-Y, Stafford, S-T-A-F-F-O-R-D.
Are you a native of Arkansas?
I am.
What do you do here in the Juvenile Center?
I am a juvenile FINS officer. FINS stands for Families in Need of Services. I wear many hats as a FINS officer, but it starts with a complaint filed against a juvenile. Can be pretty much any age. I've had babies all the way up to 17, 18 years old. When a complaint is filed, we have a court hearing. At that time, the judges adjudicates them a family need of services case, opens up a court case, and then she gives them court orders to follow. And my job is to enforce those court orders. I also am a supervisor here. I've been a FINS officer for 5 years, so I am now in charge of the FINS department and supervisor 2 other FINS officers, and kind of keep the FINS department running smoothly.
Okay. Have you always wanted to be a FINS officer?
Not necessarily. My degree is in child development. I originally wanted to be a teacher or teach in preschool, but in one of my classes we were required to come and observe in juvenile court, and I came and observed and wanted to stay all day, didn't want to leave. It was very interesting, and so when I graduated college I started looking for jobs, and there was an opening here, and so I applied and luckily got the job.
Nice. How long have you been working here?
I've been working here 5 years.
With the program, is everybody involved, like including the school and family members and friends, or is it just the student friends?
It all depends on the case. A lot of the referrals we get for a FINS case come from the school, so we do work very closely with the school. Sometimes the school is not a party to that case because there may not be school issues. There may be something else like, family issues going on. But for the most part, yes, the schools are always involved. We work pretty much hand in hand with them. A lot of our cases, majority of our cases come from the schools.
How do you start? Like, how does one start with this program?
Basically what starts is anybody can file a FINS age 10 and older. We've had juveniles file FINS on themselves because they're in bad situations and they need help. But it starts with a citizen's affidavit. You basically fill out basic information about the family, and then there's a very important part on the back of that affidavit that is a narrative, and that's where they explain what's going on behavior-wise, if there's truancy issues, drug issues, family issues. Sometimes a juvenile just may need counseling, and court cases tend to open up a lot of doors for services like counseling. From that, the prosecutor looks at that affidavit and says, oh yes, I want to open up a court case, let's go forward. And at that time a petition is filed, and then they are given a court date. The families are served with the court date, and then they all show up for their court date. At that time the judge will decide to open up a court case. Sometimes she doesn't open up court cases, but based on testimony that's taken at that hearing, she will open up a court case and then issue her court orders.
With the FINS program, how long does it last? Or can you just do it however long you want?
It's however long it needs to be open. That's the best way I can answer that. We typically they're open 6 months to a year. Sometimes I've had cases open 2 or 3 years. It's just when the situation has stabilized, all services have been provided, and that the juveniles and their families are doing well. I would say typically about a year is how long the cases stay open.
Have you seen a change in the victim of FINS?
Yes, I see a lot of positives. Sometimes it takes just a judge telling mom and dad what they need to do. We work very closely with the family, so we always are talking to them about what they may need. So we see a lot of success with the FINS cases. Sometimes it's just getting them stabilized, and then having a judge saying, if you don't do this, you're going to go to jail or get fined. So usually we see a lot of of good endings. A lot of services get provided that just make the situation 100 times better than when they first walk in our door.
What happens if they don't? They worsen, or during the process they start going back?
Basically, in Finn's cases, when the court orders are issued, if they are not followed, it is considered a contempt of court, which means that we have a hearing, and if the judge says, yes, you violated your court orders, you are found in contempt, that's when she can fine the parents. She can impose jail time on juveniles and parents. That all comes from a hearing, but it is considered a contempt issue. But that's usually the route that goes. If they have violated court orders, then if there are serious consequences, they get the judge's consequences, which are usually pretty serious. Also, as part of the Finn's case, not all of the violations come to court. If a juvenile and their family are not doing well, I like to give out a lot of community service. Also, not every rule broken is something that I think jail time or community service may help. Sometimes they need services. Like if I have a kid that's constantly failing drug screens, maybe they need outpatient drug treatment, maybe they need inpatient drug treatment. So it just kind of depends on the juvenile, but always they have those judges' consequences hanging over them, which can be jail time. So.
Is Finn statewide?
It is.
Are there other states doing it? Or?
Yes, not all states do Finns. Some states, it's called CHINS, which is Children in Need of Services, but every state has some sort of program like ours. Now, every state, every county does things differently. Washington County, we're known for having a large amount of Finns cases. Some counties don't have as large of a caseload of Finn's cases as we do, but they also, a lot of their officers do probation and Finn's. They don't just have officers just handling Finn's cases. But yes, it's statewide, countywide. Every state has some form of Finn's or CHINS.
Are there any other alternatives besides Finn's, or is Finn's just the main one?
Yes. Not all Finn's affidavits that we receive go to court. Most petitions are handled. Some kids may just need some pointed in the right direction, may need some services, so we will refer them to counseling or drug counseling, and we call that a diversion. If they do well on their diversion, they don't have to come to court. So not all of them come to court. We're doing a lot of groundwork to prevent them from having to come to court. We want court to be a last resort. So we try to provide some sort of intervention and services to remedy the situation where, if we have to come to court, we can, but if it's not something that warrants, if they just need, us to point them in the right direction, then we do that. So we do a lot of that. I get a lot of phone calls from parents that don't want to go forward with a court case, but they just want to know where to go for help. And so I spend a lot of my time doing that as well. So like I said, we wear a lot of hats. Not every Finn's case comes to court. We're doing a lot of stuff to keep them out of court.
That was all my questions. Is there anything you would like to add to talk to the kids now so they can get out of trouble?
Really, can I think about that for a minute? A majority of our Finn's cases, we see a lot of them start from peer pressure, outside influences. Not all kids that come through these doors have, a lot of times they have really good parents. It's just been, pressures at school from friends. So we provide classes here that we send a lot of our kids to like self-esteem classes. We try to get them to see that there are friends out there that are more positive influences than the ones that they have gotten them here. I like to tell kids that, well, is your friend going to go to jail with you when you fill that drug screen? Because they may not have a court case. So I always try to get that, make that clear that we're responsible for our own actions. So that's one thing. We do a lot of one-on-one with our kids. Sometimes I feel like I'm not just a Finn's officer, I'm a counselor. So FINS is not always a bad thing. It's not, yes, there's jail time and things involved with it, but a lot of the work that I do is just to provide help. So a lot of the juveniles I see, I'm just trying to get through to see what I need to do to help them to get them on the right track. And I don't always recommend that they go to jail. So FINS cases are it's very broad. It can be for so many things. I've had babies on FINS cases just because their parents aren't doing what they need to do, and we needed to get the family help. So not FINS cases have a stigma of it being, oh, they're in trouble, oh, they're in juvenile court, but sometimes it's not even that. Sometimes it's just they're a victim of a horrible crime and they need extra counseling services. So it's not just always a punishment.